All right, LinkedIn Nation. So happy to be talking to you. I'm honored to be in your presence. Former Governor and Navy SEAL not Jesse Ventura. Sorry, I got to change my filter a little bit. My really good friend, Mike Spicer, also known in a fun way as Jesse Ventura, because you still look very much like the famed former governor and wrestler. But I'll call you the security guru, right? Is that better?
Well, I do have a trademark on that name, and the governor thing I couldn't shake. I
No,
finally was resigned to the fact that, yeah, I may have a likeness, but I look like him before steroids.
that's right.
Um,
That's and you still are well built and you're looking healthy, which makes me happy because what a lot of people don't know is that way back in the day you mentored me as a brand new special agent in the Coast Guard, and I don't know if I ever said thank you for that, but thank you for all of your mentorship. You are a great leader. And again, I am happy to talk with you and excited to talk transition with you because you had a really unique transition. Both you and I were reservists in the military, and so you had that career spanning 30 years or something, right? You're a long
yeah.
time, as well as in the highway patrol, an honored career there. And then you transition. Your transition was a little different. You got into something in healthcare, and I want to cover that. But that's why I want to talk to you and understand. Were you planning to have another life in retirement? Were you planning to be truly this entrepreneur, a security guru, and having this brand around you and this likeness? Or was this something that just kind of fell on you and you had an opportunity and you just took it?
Well, you know, having a military background from day one, I started out in the Marine Corps. Uh, I made a mistake, no offense, went in the Navy Reserve for 2 years and then ended up in the Coast Guard and retired from them. But had a security career throughout my military, had a passion for security, keeping people safe and secure and protecting assets. Just had a passion for it. The highway patrol side, the first of my 27-year career, I'd have to say the first 19 was kind of interesting, traffic control and working accidents. And then I got involved with narcotics task force, worked undercover on a task force, drug influence investigations. That was kind of exciting. But the last 8 years, I was with the Protective Services Division, and I was assigned to the courts, which is a unbelievable. It's the gravy train, man. It's better in the governor's detail because you're with the courts, and the judges treat you like gold. And so I had a lot of training at that level. We were trained actually by the Secret Service and the U.S. Marshals prior to going on that dignitary assignment. In fact, you make a joke about Jesse Ventura. When we would do training up in San Francisco and he was real popular, we'd go out after training, have a few, and go eat. And these guys that I'm with would act like they were my protection detail. And they would walk into a hotel and you need to get out of the way, the governor. And people would try to get my autograph, and I would act like I don't have time. And I'm lucky we didn't get
You could have
busted
made
for
some
that.
money
But
doing that. You could have gone to Comic Con or something.
oh,
Jesse Ventura.
we did a little of that. They always wanted me to come to training, so we have fun with that. But with that said, what's interesting about the last 8 years of the patrol and the last 8 years with the Coast Guard, where I was working with Department of Homeland Security, got a lot of training. Both of them complemented each other, and I knew it was going to come to an end. You can't work forever. You're going to, government service. There's a certain point where it begs the question whether you want to move on. And I started early on, probably 10 years out, to say, you know what? I want to go into corporate security. I want to work for an organization. So I joined As Is International and started hanging around with people that were in corporate security. And I started to really let it known that my patrol, the life with the patrol is going to come to an end, and also my military career. And I'm looking into going into corporate security. And the light bulb came on when I joined As Is of what is it going to take to get me to the next journey? And it was networking, all about networking. And I learned that early on. Again, forming these relationships within As Is International here locally. I know we talked about it earlier. A mentor of mine, Bob Maserati, was a member of the chapter. I not only was a member, but I became the chapter chair. So I got involved while I was on the Highway Patrol in the chapter, showing my, leadership abilities to these folks. And then also, I'm currently the chapter chair. I came back to the local chapter here. But I talked to you a little bit about my wife. Used to say, you have to pay $100 a year at that time to be an As Is. And I said, well, it's all about networking. And she used to see that $100, I said, well, what do you think it's going to be once we get involved in a business? It's going to be, well, one day Bob Maserati called me up because he had left and went up to Kaiser in in San Francisco, and said, hey, I was on a peer group call and they are hurting in Fresno where you're at. Do you know anything about healthcare security? And I said, really? I said, by 0900 tomorrow morning, I will be an expert. He said, good, because I got a call set up with you with the boss there at 10 a.m. Wow. Next thing you know, they hired me as a consultant. And this is after I retired from the patrol. Okay. I was there 6 months as a consultant. I helped them. I told them they needed a full-time director there. And I actually played a little hard to get, said I'm not really interested. I want to go into my own business. I helped them interview some people and get it going. And let's just say they made an offer I couldn't refuse. And I became their director of security not only in Fresno, but Modesto and Manteca, the Central Valley. So it was kind of it panned out to be a regional job. But again, it all boiled down to networking. And that networking didn't stop there. I found out my success was networking with people from other departments and learning about other departments. Pediatrics. Well, I knew one thing. My wife had the babies, and I went through the class, huff, 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 when the baby came out, but that's it. I kiss the baby, make sure the baby don't, be nice to the baby. But I reached out to find out everything about that department and got to know the leadership and really network with these folks. Because guess what? When trouble hit, they would come to assist. And then we worked together to get a lot of things done. So I found networking to help me, and I think it would have mattered no matter where I was, as far as just learning not to be in a silo, which we tend to be in law enforcement. We tend to always say it's us, us against them, or whatever kind of mentality you want to think. But I really thought it was important to network out. And that sustained me to the point where I was with Kaiser. I eventually transitioned up to Sutter Health and then Adventist Health here in the Central Valley. So I got the opportunity to work 3 major healthcare organizations. Was very successful, I thought, in those organizations. But I realized I wanted to get out on my own, which I am now.
This is great because nowhere in your government career did you work healthcare. And so as you're trying to learn different skills, what was the hardest thing to learn about healthcare security or healthcare protection that didn't really apply, or you didn't really use those skills in, whether in the patrol or in the military?
Well, I think the biggest thing was having the resources to get the job done. Because unfortunately, I've done some. I still do some consulting with Kaiser and some other organizations in private consulting with them for their healthcare programs, and we're still fighting against the old that they should need this security or whatever. Security, as you know, is all. If you want to find security at a hospital, go down to the basement, way in the back by the morgue. They're over on the door on the right. That's usually the way it's always been, with the exception of Mills Peninsula up there, Sutter Health. They had a nice office there. But with that said, really trying to sell the program to leadership, they understand clinical stuff, healthcare, patient care, security. That's like a foreign language. No, we security is guard the building. Well, it's more than guard the building. So when I was with CHP and with the Coast Guard, when we needed infrastructure or personnel, it happened in most cases because those are organizations that security is very important for the infrastructure. I don't care, if you're in government work, and especially nowadays with all this stuff going on.
Right.
So it was a sell to the leadership. And the way I did it was I always emphasized that any program initiative involved the patient, that we are here to care for that patient. And it was protecting the patient, whether it be I need access control, visitation, a badge, a funnel to let people in. Why? Because we had several incidents and we need to protect our patients and keep them safe in your hospital. That was a selling point. So that was a difficult thing because you didn't just come, I realized early on, you just didn't come in and say, I want this, because it ain't going to happen. I had to sell it to them and eventually make it their idea and involve other departments too with the networking. If I wanted to get, like, for example, here at Adventist Health, I actually got them to do a visitor control program, which was unheard of. They were all into, this is a wonderful organization. We're here to welcome these
open doors.
People. And I'm like, excuse me, you should see what's going on down the street. So another thing was CAP index scores to show them how dangerous things were. You don't live in a good neighborhood, and in 5 years, it's going to get worse.
Right.
We have to implement these things now. So it wasn't just, hey, I need it. No, you had to sell it. And the way I sold the main hospital was I got the ED director and them involved first to get access into there. And once I sold it into the ED, like the rest, labor and delivery wanted it over there. So, I mean, it took off like wildfire. But again, networking and really kind of understanding that you just can't get your way, that you really got to work, collaborate, and negotiate and show the value.
This is great. Let's pause there. When we come back, I want to talk about certifications because both you and I were talking about that earlier, and that's important to you as well as education. And then we're going to talk about the magic sword. So I'm going to tease that. We'll come back in the next segment and we'll talk about the magic sword. Stay tuned.